All right, guys, welcome back to Shelf by Shelf. Here's a preview of this shelf of the books we're going to be looking at today. We're just doing this section. There are other sections here that we'll get to in another video. This is Too Deep, so there's another set of paperbacks behind this. But yeah, this is the preview for this video. So if there's anything you see that you're interested in, scrub through the video to find it. So welcome back to chapter 7 of Shelf by Shelf. Just saw a preview of the shelf. We just finished the Star Trek shelf, which I'll show you right now. So chapters 1 through 6 are of this shelf here. And now we're just going to move on over to this one today. Give you guys a closer look. As you can see, these are a lot of novels, paperbacks, and some interesting titles there. Like I said, there are more at the back, and we will look at these, and hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. So let's get to it. All right, let's get to the most or the least interesting things on the shelf, which are the ones sitting on top. They were just kind of set there to you know, because there's no other room for them. So first off is dadisms, what he says and what he really means. This was given to me as a Christmas gift in my stocking. And yeah, it's just a book of dadisms. We're making good time. I pay the cost to be the boss. Because I said so, that's why. You know, dadisms. Just a fun little gift, and more of a bathroom reader, I think. Might actually move this to the bathroom. I don't know. Anyway, there's that one. And we got a bunch of vintage old books from, I believe these are from Silvija's Oma. I could be wrong about that, but non-flowering plants of this vintage old style with interesting illustrations in it about non-flowering plants. So taking care of like mushrooms and, you know, ferns, stuff like that. It's just, and what year is this book from? 1967. Copyright 1967, flowering plants. To go with that, there's also Trees, a guide to familiar American trees, with a maple leaf on the front for American trees, which is kind of funny. Yes, I know you have maple trees in America, but anyway, yep, that's talks about the different kinds of trees, identifying leaves, stuff like that. The Golden Nature Guides are what these are. We also got Flowers, a guide to familiar American wildflowers. Same thing, just instead of non-flowering, these are flowers, literally. And it's the same, it's all, and they're a nice little series of books. They're not too big, they're a nice size, and they definitely have that vintage kind of look to them. So there's those three. Also got this, Dracula by Bram Stoker, or Bram Stoker. This is just Dracula. This was bought probably a few years ago, and it's just one of the classic series you could get. Let's see. This is from 2003. I mean, the original story is from 1897, and it's just Dracula. Got a nice gold leaf on the edges of the pages there. So this one, this one's been around for a while. Algar Features, It Happened in Canada. So this is another old book. This is from, I don't even know if it'll have the year. No, I can't see a year, but these are all like little tales like you'd see in Ripley's Believe It or Not of different things that happened in Canada. So yeah, just a fun little, I don't know where this was acquired or how long I've had it. It's been a while, and I think it's pretty cool, personally. So there you go. Next up, we've got My Dog, the Paradox. Again, this is just another funny little book about a pug and all of the funny things that pugs do. This was just another fun little gift for, I believe, Christmas. But yeah. Nothing special, let's be honest. This one's really cool. This one, if you remember a movie from the 80s, late 80s, called Enemy Mine with Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. It's about the Dracs and the human war. And this I only learned about a few years ago. This is The Enemy Papers by Barry Longyear. There you can see the Dracs on the front. Very different look to in the movie. And then you got a guy that looks like, could be Dennis Quaid, but the Enemy Papers are the entire Enemy Mine series gathered into one volume. So there is a whole slew of stories about this war and the movie that I wasn't even aware of until, like I said, a few years ago. And then I had to track down this book. This book is actually very hard to find. And if you can get a hold of it, I suggest you do, because there's some really good stories in here. The entire Enemy Mine series gathered in one volume. The Talman, Enemy Mine, the expanded Nebula and Hugo Award-winning winner that inspired the 20th Century Fox motion picture starring Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr. The novels, The Tomorrow Testament, and The Last Enemy, plus more. So there's short stories in here about the Dracs and the human Isaac war. Asimov says, this was one of those rare times when a story was so good that even I could see Hugo written all over it. So won the Hugo Awards. So there's no illustrations or anything in it, but that is the actual description of the Dracs. Even though Lou Gossett Jr.'s character looks really cool in that movie. That is a fantastic movie. Highly underrated in my opinion. But I would suggest checking it out. And if you are a fan of Enemy Mine, pick up the Enemy Papers if you can find it. I think there are other titles that this book comes under. This one took me a little while to find, and it cost a pretty penny to pick it up. So if you're interested, there you go. You now know. So anyway, let's get on to the novels themselves. Now, this is a pretty eclectic bunch of books. Some of the ones in the back are obviously ones that I had and didn't have a spot for, so that's why they're in the back. But some of them I'd like to have displayed more prominent, and it's fine. I've worked at a bookstore. I've worked at a library. My second job was a library. My first job was working at McDonald's for 3 months, and then I got a job at a library, which I did for a few years. And then I worked at Cole's Bookstore in Stratford, Ontario, Canada. Anyway, I've just had a love for books. So this is Doom, Hell on Earth, Beyond the Game, Chapter 2 in a classic new space opera. And it is just about the Martian demon Doom. It's about the Doom video game is what it is. I don't have book one or any of the other ones, I don't think, but I mean, Doom, come on. It's pretty cool. Next up, we've got Anne Rice, Memnoch the Devil. I do enjoy Anne Rice stuff. I'm a huge vampire fan. Actually started writing my own vampire novel years ago. Got like 6 chapters done. Never finished it though, but Anne Rice. So this was one I just picked up randomly. And yeah, I haven't read it yet though. So I've read some of the vampire ones. Next up, we got the novelization of Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And I know this movie gets a lot of slack for his non-English accent. for a lot of different things. But I really enjoy the movie. I think it's great. I think that the Sheriff of Nottingham, Alan Rickman, that's it. It's a fun movie. I really enjoy this movie. It's kind of a guilty pleasure movie of mine, and this is the novelization of that. I haven't read it, so I don't know how different, if any different, it is from the movie, but I do enjoy the movie quite a bit, so I did pick up the book years and years and years ago, so that's one I need to watch again. Haven't watched that in forever. Here we have A Whisper of Blood, 18 New Tales of Vampirism, and reveals the true nature, the true horror of the vampire. So there's, yeah, multiple different short stories in here, vampire stories. I read this years ago, and part of the inspiration for wanting to do my own vampire stuff. So Whispers of Blood, or Whisper of Blood, sorry. From the creator of Blood Is Not Enough. We have Gallery of Horror, 20 Chilling Stories by Stephen King, Eric von Lustbader, Ramsey Campbell, and other modern masters of dread. So just horror stories. And I don't think I've read any of these, if I'm honest. I picked this up meaning to read it and just got sidelined with other things and have not read this. So there's that. This one, I believe, is one of Silvia's. This is Evita, The Woman with the Whip, the compelling biography of one of the most hated, worshipped, glamorous, and powerful women in history, Eva Peron. So, Evita. Moving on. As I said, a lot of the ones back here are ones that were found randomly or just came with collections. So, anyway, this one's Basil Broketail. It's about a battle dragon's best friend is his boy. But a battle dragon, it's probably a series of books here, but I don't know. It's by Christopher Rowley. Haven't read it, don't know. Don't know where or when I acquired this. This might be one of Silvia's, but I'm pretty sure this has been with me longer than Silvia has, so I think it's mine. I do recognize it. I just never read it, so I don't really remember. The Road to Wellville. Welcome to Wellville, Battle Creek, Michigan, in the age of ragtime. It's about a clinic, a spa. I have a feeling this was a novel, or not a novel. It's obviously a novel. I have a feeling this was a movie based on the images below. Don't know anything about it. Don't know why I have it, but here it is in the back where no one can see it. Except for all of you now, because you wanted to see everything on my shelves. Hence, that's why this series was created. Hope you're happy now. Moving on. Lady of the Keep. This is a Schmutz Harlequin novel. Not Harley Quinn, but Harlequin novel. My mom used to read these kind of things all the goddamn time. She was always reading romance novels. Sure, that's fine. I don't know where this was got, and Silvia's not into reading this kind of stuff. Although Silvia writes some stuff like this, so. Anyhow, Lady of the Keep, don't know what it's about. It's about a girl, and she falls in love, probably, and there's, like, softcore. You know the routine for these. Anyway, next up we got a classic. New York Times #1 bestseller. The Lost World. The sequel to Jurassic Park. So yeah, Lost World. These books differ quite a bit from the movies, and even to the point where characters die or don't die in the books, but it's fine. It's fine. The Michael Crichton books are pretty good, so. The Lost World. Next up is one I've had for a long time as well. Agatha Christie. This is the Grand Dame of Mystery at her most dramatic. Oh my God, can I speak? The Mousetrap and Other Plays. So this has one of my favorite, all-time favorite stories in it, 10 Little Indians. Also got Mousetrap, Witness for the Prosecution, and a few other spine dinglers, as they call it. I love Agatha Christie stuff. And this one is actually from my old high school library, where I also volunteered, but Waterloo, Oxford Secondary School Board, or school library. Yeah. Some of these were bought at like library sales. Some were just bought at like garage sales. So this one, I didn't know it was a high school book, but I've had it forever, obviously. So maybe I just didn't return it. I don't know. All right, continuing. We're still on the back row. So we're getting to the front row. We got 6 more books in the back row, but this is Dennis L. McKiernan, The Iron Tower, available for the first time in a single volume. So you got The Dark Tide, Shadows of Doom, and The Darkest Day. I have not read this. Just looked very interesting, so I picked it up. And I love when things are compiled into a single volume. So I'm not big into fantasy. And there's some sci-fi fantasy that I like Dragon Riders of Pern. I absolutely adore that series. But I'm not a huge fantasy fan. So I don't know why I picked this up. Probably just because I was probably working at Kohl's at the time and it came in and I thought, oh, all these, it's a cool cover. I do judge books by their cover. I do play D&D as well now. I never used to, but started a few years ago. Started in 2020, actually. And we play on a regular basis now, but I thought it was a cool cover. And yes, I do judge books by their cover. Although, that being said, the Agatha Christie one is kind of lacking. But anyway. Yeah, need to read this at some point. I figure I'll have lots of time to read. I've always assumed for years that when I got older, I'd have plenty of time to read. I have my own library now. Still don't have time to read. Maybe someday. Next up, we got Bernard Cornwell, the Harlequin, the Grail Quest. Now, I love anything King Arthur, so not quite sure what this is about necessarily. I'm not going to read you the back, but I know Bernard Cornwell is a great author. So, and you know, the Grail Quest, come on, had to get this. As you can see, there are some King Arthur. Oh, you can't see. There's some King Arthur stuff up there. As you can see, there's a little King Arthur on his throne right there. So, but yeah, again, another one I'll get to at some point, hopefully. The new Doctor Who adventures. This one's Nightshade. Haven't read it, but a full-length original novel based on the long-running science fiction show. So this, I assume this is an episode of Doctor Who. I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan, and I have no idea where or when I got this. This is actually a surprise to me that I have this. So if you know anything about it, let me know. But interesting artwork. Next up, we've got Book 1 of the Templar trilogy, Knights of the Black and White by Jack White. Again, anything Templar related, medieval history I adore. Also ancient Egyptology, stuff like that. But it just looked good. I got it. I haven't read it. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. But you would think if I liked medieval history, which I do, big history fan, that I would like fantasy. And I do to some extent. I've just never been a huge fan of fantasy for some reason. But now having, you know, playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, it's a little bit different. But anyway. Ooh, we've got Enter the Matrix. You remember that game? It's a fantastic game. Did a complete playthrough of it. I actually have a Enter the Matrix VHS tape that I made. that I recorded all of our gameplay from. I even like made my own sticker, but we'll get to that when we get to that shelf. But this is the entire gameplay of that, because it was very much just like a movie. So this is Enter the Matrix, fully mapped guide, detailed maps, hidden secrets, and bosses beaten. It's just a series of books that go through and give you the maps and secrets to the levels, and there's images of the game. But yeah, I was big into the Matrix game, and it's a really good game actually, including you know, actors from the movie, as well as it ties in with the Animatrix, which is a really great set of short stories in animated form, which are really cool and expand to the Matrix lore. So there you go. I also got this one, Game Tips, or Games Tips You Need, Enter the Matrix. It's also got Silent Hill 3, Midnight Club 3, and Wolverine's Revenge tips. Same company, same sort of deal. You know, back before the internet, because this was definitely before, you know, you could go on and look up playthroughs and stuff. So anyway, so that's the back row. Now we're going to get to the front row. So this one, I'm not sure if it's going to be a problem for YouTube or anything, but this is one of my dad's books that he gave to me years ago. The Rise and Fall of Adolf Hitler, the story of his rise to power and fall from grace. Not, it never really was in grace, but I'm talking too much about it already. Anyway, that's what that is. That's history. History. If you got to know your history, or otherwise you're doomed to repeat it. Sorry, I had to juice up the Jupiter globe because it wasn't spinning. This is one of those ones that is powered by light. There's not enough light here right now. When the sun's shining in, this thing turns, rotates. You see the red spot there. We'll get to that when we get to that shelf, but I was hoping it would be turning in the background because it's really nice. Anyway, to go right along with that book from my dad as well, The Young Winston Churchill by John Marsh. Just talks about his military service and stuff like that. So next up, we've got Battletech, Path of Glory. 2 warriors, 2 ways of life, 1 war. I'm not big into Battletech and Robotech and stuff like that. I like the mechs and I like the suits, and I do have a technical manual or a visual archive for Robotech over there. Not quite sure the lore or the history behind these, and I remember reading this a long time ago, but don't remember much of it now. But I thought it was a cool cover when I was younger and picked it up, and just didn't really get into the Battletech stuff. So Michael Crichton, again, author of Disclosure, The Great Train Robbery. I'm a big mystery buff, and I love things like Murder on the Orient Express. Love trains as well. I love trains, electric trains, train sets, steam locomotives in particular. Don't give me no diesel. Diesel is crap. Steam locomotives have personality. But anyway, so The Great Train Robbery, I haven't read it, but Michael Crichton, Great Train Robbery, can't go wrong, right? So there you go. Next up, we've got Indiana Jones and the Hollow Earth. Dun, 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 dun. Any Indiana Jones adventure, you gotta love it. So this is by Max McCoy. I've read it. Do I remember much about it? Not really. But Hollow Earth Theory, that's great. So this one I've had for a long time as well. The Further Adventures of Superman. And something about this cover really intrigued me. It is Medusa. He's fighting Medusa and half turning to stone. So again, my love for Greek mythology. But yes, this is just a bunch of different stories about Superman. Short stories. We got the Riddle of Superman's Mask, Apparitions, Lucifer over Lancaster, Dateline Metropolis, Mine Enemy Grows Older, Forget Me Not, Deja Vu All Over Again, excerpt from the diary of Dr. Morris Finkelstein, I Now Pronounce You Superman and Wife, The Warrior of the Final Dawn, and an epilogue. So it is just Superman stories. But not in comic book form. Next. This one I got back when I was in public school. Remember those Scholastic book fairs where you got this little catalog of all the stuff you could buy, and there's really cool books in there, and you'd get money from your parents or have them write a check, and then like a month later you'd get a delivery to the classroom, and it was the best day of the year to get those books. This is one, Knight Rider, Trust Doesn't Rust. This is about Garth Knight, and it is just an adaptation of the episode Trust Doesn't Rust, where there's an evil Michael Knight and Carr, the evil Carr as well, which stands for Knight Automated Roving Robot. You know, Kit is Knight Industries 2000. Carr is the evil version, but was built first and didn't work out. Kind of like Lore and Data. Ever wonder where Lore and Data came from? It is Knight Rider. That's what's really got it from. But yeah, just a novelization of the episode. And this is number 2 in the book series. So yeah, cool. As I mentioned earlier, love vampires. One of my favorite shows was a show called Forever Night. Here is one of the novels, A Stirring of Dust. This is not an episode of the show novelized. This is just a story that takes place in the Forever Night universe about a detective, Nick Knight, detective from Toronto. And I've actually met Garrett Wynne Davies a few times. He lives just outside of Stratford, which is basically where I grew up. And good guy, good show. If you've never seen Forever Night and you're a fan of vampires, what are you doing? Check it out. But Forever Night novel. Time After Time. This mixes some of my favorite things into one story. This has been made into a movie. This book I bought at the Rexall Pharmacy near my house one day because I was waiting for Silvija to pick something up. Saw this and had to pick up the book. I actually have another copy of it, a different version of it somewhere else, but mixes a few of my favorite things. Time travel, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine in particular, with Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper steals, I forget the guy's name from The Time Machine, steals his time machine and goes forward in time to 1987 or 1988, whatever. And, you know, H.G. Wells guy has to go stop him. It actually is H.G. Wells in the story. But anyway, yeah. The movie stars Malcolm McDowell, who's Soren for all you Star Trek fans. And it's a really good story, combining some of the best things. I'm a big Jack the Ripper fan as well. Not a fan, but I got a lot of Jack the Ripper stuff. So, yeah. One of my favorite movies and coolest concepts, The Rocketeer novelization. I love The Rocketeer, Cliff Secord, and Howard Hughes, all that stuff, and just that retro styling. I still want a Rocketeer helmet and jacket. I love them. Recently, well, at Wonderfest, I met the creator of the helmet and the jetpack. He was there, so we got a book about all of the process that did that, signed. I need to do a video about it, but anyway. But this is the novelization of the movie. So, The Rocketeer, go watch it, man. It's great. Growing up, I loved some comic books. I've got a huge collection of Punisher and Ghost Rider. I've got a lot of the Ghost Rider books. So, of course, I have the Ghost Rider novelization of the movie. I like this movie. I don't care what anybody says. I think Nick Cage does a good job. Same with the second one. They're guilty pleasures of mine. So this is just the novelization of the movie. I'm a big Ghost Rider fan. Love the concept for that character. And that's what this is. So, like it or don't. I don't care. Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park. Kind of says it all, right? Just great. Another one of my guilty pleasure movies that a lot of people diss for whatever reasons, but Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within. I love this movie. It is great. A lot of people can't get past the animation. I think the animation's awesome. I love that style of animation. Yes, it's a little creepy or unsettling to some people. I really enjoy it, and it's a great story. Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within novelization. Okay, these have pictures. Some of them have pictures for the movie, but this one doesn't. But great. And I don't think it should be a guilty pleasure. It should just be something that I enjoy and nobody gives me a hard time about. But it is what it is. Moving on. I'm sensing a theme with this shelf because this one is Superman 3, the novelization of the movie, but this is a special edition. This time, Superman really has his hands full with Richard Pryor. Again, a guilty pleasure of mine. I enjoy this movie. I enjoy Richard Pryor in this movie. Yes, it kind of turned into a Richard Pryor movie. I don't care. It's a fun Superman movie. Anyway, I think this is a special edition because it does have some pictures, yes, from the movie in there. Gus Gorman. That's great. The photo booth and his changing. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of novelizations of movies or episodes or things, but that's okay. Speaking of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, again, this should be called my guilty pleasure shelf. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call this episode. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's a fantastic idea, fantastic concept, bringing lots of great fictional characters together to work together. The movie's not that bad. Yes, I see the flaws with it, but I still enjoy the hell out of it. So, is it better with a book? Yeah, probably. But I still enjoy the movie. Men in Black, novelization of the film. That's what it says on the tin, man. On the Tin Man, that's funny. It's just what it is. It's novelization. Stargate, novelization of the movie. The one with Kurt Russell and James Spader. Never really got into Stargate until a few years ago. Silvija was a huge Stargate fan. Sam's a huge Stargate fan, so they kind of convinced me to watch it. Now I really enjoy the hell out of it. Thought the movie was all right, but tying in the ancient astronaut theory of like Egyptians and the pyramids and being aliens, I thought was fantastic, but never really enjoyed the movie too much. But I like the concept of it, right? And then I never watched the series because I didn't enjoy the movie so much, so I didn't think I'd enjoy the series, but I enjoyed the series quite a bit. I think the series is better than the movie. Anyway, Stargate. And I wanted to get more into Stargate. I wanted to like it more, so at the time I picked up a few books. We got Stargate Rebellion, which is the sequel to the movie. Got that one. We got Stargate Retaliation. I haven't read any of these, by the way. And I got Stargate Retribution. Picked them up, expecting to read them, try to learn more about it, get into it. Never did. Now that I watched the entire series and really like it, might be worth going back and revisiting these and see how they are. Plus, Sylvia's a huge fan of the show. I don't think she's read these, though. But anyway, Stargate books. And lastly, for this episode, is Judge Dredd Year One Omnibus. Now, this is a Nerd Block exclusive novel, it says, but it's got a few different stories from Judge Dredd. City Fathers, Cold Light of Day, and Wear Iron. And haven't read it, but I do like Judge Dredd, and I think this would be a good read at some point. So there you have it. That is the shelf. So let's give you a preview of what you guys can expect for the next episode of Shelf by Shelf. It's a teaser. Here we go. I guess I should also give you the bonus shelf of Silvia's plants on top of this. But anyway, so that's the shelf we just did right there. We have this shelf, which we might do next. Or we have this shelf, which we might do next. I'm not sure which one we're going to do yet. Again, these are stacked 2 deep, all of them, except for that one, because there's only 1 row at the back there. But so it'll probably be this shelf we'll do next. So there's your preview for next time. And yeah. So there you have it, guys. Hope you had a good time with this episode. Please leave a like for me. Comment down below any books you saw that you were interested in, maybe have read, disagree with me on. Whatever you want to put down there, please do. Look, there are a lot more shelves to do in this library, which we will get to. So stay tuned for the rest of this series and check out any past ones if you haven't already. I will link one at the end of this video, but please let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed yourself or you didn't, let me know. So hit like, make sure you subscribe to this channel, which is the Captain Foley personal channel. Also subscribe to the Trekyards main channel, where we do Star Trek stuff all the time. And by all means, check out another video from me right over here. So until next time, I'm Captain Foley, signing off. Happy reading, everyone.